of Chief Justice John Roberts, who's someone also I've known 25 years, and John is a friend. John lived his whole life very, very careful, not saying anything that could be used to defeat his Supreme Court nomination. And I think Ketanji similarly has been careful in what she has said, not to have a public record that would leave her vulnerable in a confirmation. We'll see how the hearings go, but I expect a thorough examination of her record and what kind of judge she'd be.
Well, she's been supported by people like Jonathan Turley, who I think we all respect, Don McGahn, conservative judge Michael Ludig. They've all kind of supported Ketanji or Judge Brown Jackson. I want to also, since we're talking about the court and you are someone who's had experience with the court, I do want to ask, given what we know about Judge Thomas, and particularly his wife and her political activism, should Judge Thomas recuse himself from cases that have to do with Trump?
No, of course not. And listen,
we had Alan Dershowitz on here, and he said yes. He said yes, and he said also that that Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have recused herself as well. But
listen. And by the way, he was a law school professor of mine. He's a good friend. I think very highly of Alan, but Alan is a liberal. He's a liberal Democrat. In fact, I remember in criminal
law, not judicially, like his judicial philosophy.
He is judicially.
No.
So Jason, look. I mean, he was a professor of mine, and we're good friends. But he started first-year criminal law by standing up and saying, "Listen, by any objective measure." This is Alan Dershowitz speaking. He said, "I am in the most liberal 1% of Americans in this country." But he said on the Harvard Law faculty, I actually have some conservative views because I believe, for example, in free speech. Alan is an old style liberal. So today's left has decided, let's say on an issue of free speech, they want to censor anyone who disagrees with them. They want to silence anyone who disagrees with them. And so Alan disagrees with, for example, Larry Tribe, who advocates censorship. And Alan and Tribe have gone back and forth on that for decades. But let's be clear, Dersh is still a very liberal Democrat, but he is a civil libertarian. And what's bizarre, so in the age of Trump, Democrats abandoned civil liberties. They hated Trump so much that they're just like, destroy the man and to hell with civil liberties. Let's go after him. And Dershowitz pressed back on that. Listen, Justice Thomas is an extraordinary justice. He's someone who I've known a long time. He is a brilliant jurist.
I'm not debating that. I'm just debating, does he have a conflict?
The venom from the left directed at Justice Thomas is qualitatively different from any justice on the Supreme Court. You know, you compare Justice Thomas to Justice Scalia. Scalia, incredibly conservative, incredibly brilliant, and yet didn't attract the venom. The left views Justice Thomas as a traitor to his race. As a black man, the left views that he is not allowed to be a conservative. You look at the invective, the insults that are directed at Justice Thomas. They're vile and offensive.
But again, Senator Cruz, I hate to cut you off.
I understand the left doesn't think I can be a conservative either. I understand.
Yeah, but Senator Cruz, I'm not necessarily arguing against the things that you're saying now. What I'm saying is I'm talking about his conflicts here. His wife being a conservative activist, her going to the January 6th, whatever that was, and you know that. Her being very much involved in funding pro-Trump, entities. Is there a conflict if he is a jurist on cases that have to do with Donald Trump? That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking about how the left feels about it.
And the answer is no. Ginny Thomas is not a Supreme Court justice. If Ginny was a Supreme Court justice, yes, there would be a conflict. But Justice Thomas is not, and let's be clear.
She talks to his clerks. She has a direct line to his clerks. That's been established.
And every justice, their clerks.
And she admonishes them for anything that she thinks is anti-Trump.
So every Democrat Supreme Court appointee was a partisan Democrat. Steve Breyer was a partisan Democrat. He was a Democrat Hill staffer, a Democratic Harvard Law professor. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a partisan Democrat. She was the general counsel of the ACLU. Elena Kagan was a partisan Democrat. She served in the Bill Clinton administration. Sonia Sotomayor is a deeply partisan Democrat who has repeatedly unleashed anti-Trump venom and partisan rhetoric while a Supreme Court justice. And so I actually think the hypocrisy of the left of saying, Justice Thomas actually doesn't do that. So his wife has political views. His wife is not a justice. He is. And there is a double standard that nobody on the left thinks that these partisan Democrats should recuse themselves, and they should.
No one is saying, for example, former President Trump absolutely brought 3 justices in, Gorsuch. No one's saying Gorsuch should recuse himself. No one is saying that Kavanaugh should recuse himself. No one is saying that ACB should recuse herself. This is about Justice Thomas. And we're talking about Justice Thomas and not about his race or anything like that. We're talking about his connections to.
Why is there a different standard for Justice Thomas than there was for Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Wildly partisan entities, particularly with his wife, who, by the way, involves herself with his clerks and staff.